Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. We have an intimate crowd. So if you want to use this, you don't have to use it because we've got that and communicates with that. Okay. Then I don't either. So tonight we have my oldest friend talking to us tonight. Bobby JR Robert W. III.
Went by Bobby Thomas of the day.
Yeah. When we moved here in second grade, he was the first guy I met. He lived 2 blocks from me on Candlewood, and we've been pals ever since. So this is a special evening for me, and I think it'll be one for you too. So, JR Thomas.
All right. Thanks for coming. I know you didn't come to this. You did. Okay, starting this out. My father's in here. This has got to be early 40s. And this is the first softball team in the Coachella Valley. Very first softball team in Coachella Valley. And you'd never pick them out, but that's it. That's where I got my baseball skills from. Now, I want to go back when the reason why that picture was significant was because my grandmother and grandfather, my grandfather was Lebanese and they came in through Mexico. My grandmother was Mexican. And they were on their way to Los Angeles and the car broke down in Indio. And that's why we're here. So if the car doesn't break down, I'm not even here. So that's called a simple twist of fate, automotive fate. And well, my father, the only thing that he really knew how to do was a good ball player, basketball player, and he was driving a truck for my uncle, which owned a big seafood restaurant in Arizona, and he would have to go get fresh seafood all the way from San Pedro and then drive it back. Well, that truck breaks down by Thunderbird Country Club. He goes in to use the phone. They go, "Oh, did you come here for the caddy job?" He goes, "Caddy job? I didn't know." He goes, "Well, we're looking for caddies." So my dad calls in my uncle and says, "I quit. I'm going to be a caddy here in Palm Springs." Wow. And I'm going to caddy for Eisenhower, Ray Bolger, old rubber legs from the Scarecrow, Phil Harris, Desi Arnaz, and that's just a few. Firestone was probably the biggest businessman that he caddied for, but all the other ones were actors, and they came out here to get away from everybody. This place there was only 4 golf courses when he started doing that. So Eisenhower, this was probably in Augusta, Georgia. This wasn't in here. This was our original location in Rancho Mirage. This right here is where Desert European is now, where the big Bentley dealer is. Then the city bought us this lot over here, and they had us move over so Desert European wouldn't leave the Rancho Mirage and go to the I-10 auto mall. So by playing with them, we saved the dealership. There wouldn't be any car dealerships there if we'd said, "No, we don't want to do it." And as you see that big tall antenna, we had the Motorola radios. We didn't have cell phones back then. And a lot of you young guys think that cell phones were part of the deal. Later on in life, there was no sending pictures and all that. We had to do everything the old-fashioned way. Fax machines weren't even invented yet. Now, this is the new showroom that we built right next door, and it was 8,000 square feet, and we had 5,000 square feet service and a 4-acre lot, which was too much for a golf cart business. Later on in life, we discovered we didn't need that much. But it was a fun trip. So my father, Bobby Thomas Sr., got to rub shoulders with guys like Bob Hope, and this was at a $1,000 a plate dinner, and I don't know what my dad said to Mr. Hope, but it was probably really funny, because Bob Hope's usually the guy telling the jokes. But so that's one of our favorite photos. And then Dennis James, he did a lot for the desert. He did a lot of raised a lot of money for the Heart Institute, big Heart Institute guy, and we supported them a lot. Now, Lee Iacocca, I don't know if anybody's seen Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
But what a great insight to Lee Iacocca. And I got to know him pretty good over the years too. He's a good guy. I got to know his daughter, Leah. They lived at the Vintage Club. They had a place at the Vintage. And we were contracted to build the Chrysler carts for the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic. So we would build 17 to 20 of them. We let the A field use it. The A field being the celebrities and the presidents. The presidents would drive in our carts. And we had a list on the wall of reservations for people that want to buy these carts that were used by the dignitaries and the presidents. So it was, I mean, we were lining up and shooting ducks. We had them locked and loaded. We didn't really have to sell the cars sold themselves. It's real nice that it was that way now. But Mr. Iacocca was big. We took on his e-bike, which is a big mistake. Lithium batteries had just come in and a couple of them caught on fire. So we had to scrap that. Our insurance company said, no more e-bikes. Oh, what? Anybody know who this is? Evil Knievel. Yeah, that's not Robbie Knievel, that's his dad. That's Mr. Knievel, and he was the guy that started all this. We custom built this, and this is the toughest part. We fiberglassed and formed headlights in there. The golf carts didn't even come with headlights back then. They were just bolt-on headlights onto the body. So we built them into the cart. We made a stencil and sprayed the stars and stripes on there. And these are rubber inserts. Did you ever have to put white walls on, Rob, when you helped us work over there?
I think.
Yeah, we let the air out. We break the beads down. We call them porta white walls, and that's why they didn't have the white wall tires. Those were added on. So Knievel was a neat guy, one of our other big celebrities that came in to our showroom. Tom Flores. Tom lives in our complex in Indian Wells. We just honored him in the golf cart parade. He was our Grand Marshal. He just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. He was the first Hispanic to play quarterback and the first coach to win a Super Bowl in the NFL that was Hispanic background. My dad used to go to lunch with him all the time, and his favorite food was menudo. A lot of you guys go, menudo? You know, it's cow stomach and a bunch of other disgusting things. Now, this is my favorite. This was when Mr. Palmer, I don't call him Arnold Palmer, I call him Mr. Palmer. Reminded me a lot of my father, a lot of big respect for this gentleman. He was probably one of the nicest guys on the PGA Tour that ever was, and he did more for golf than anybody, even Tiger Woods. But he would remember you 8 to 10 years later if he saw you.
Really?
The Bob Hope Classic got moved to PGA West, and my dad was starting to labor, and he was in a walker, but we still had the big shrimp passes because we were associated with it. We supplied all the rental cars for the tournament. So we had the good passes to get into the big joints where the shrimp are this big. We call it the big shrimp passes. So we came banging in the back door and made a lot of racket. And Mr. Palmer, Ernie Dunleavy, John Foster from Foster Turf, all the guys, they all turned around like, what the heck, who's all that making that noise? And they're all giving us dirty looks except for Arnold Palmer. Bobby Thomas, come over here, Bobby. And man, what a, instead of feeling like you're in a place where you didn't belong, then he brought you in. Then we got our big shrimp and left. So,
Who are all those guys?
that's Bobby Thomas, my dad. Arnold Palmer. Bob Rosberg and won the Masters one year. He was big with CBS. Venturi replaced him as one of the main announcers. And then that's me. Take a hat off. So that was at Palmer's grand opening in his restaurant in La Quina, and where you can go get meatloaf, fried chicken, mashed potatoes. The menu is really a cool menu. It's not like going to one of these bougie restaurants. But neat place, big putty green out back, big Rolex clocks, and he was just the nicest guy in the world. And we will miss him forever. Then Dad got a star in Palm Springs, with the Walk of Stars, and I thought that was pretty cool until they came up the next year and says, "We need $5 grand." well, we gotta have maintenance for the next 10 years. And then it seemed like they were coming in every year for the $5 grand. But yeah, but I haven't seen them forever now. I don't know. I guess they thought since my dad died, they're not coming after me to collect the cleanup fund.
It's still there.
It's still there. Yeah, it's right opposite Las Casuelas, the big Las Casuelas. So that was a big honor, and we still have that. And we had a smaller version I gave to my daughter. She's still holding on to it. She's real proud of that. So that was a really special day, and that was when my mom was still in pretty good shape. That was when they were getting down to, I don't know, put the hams in the cement or something like that. That was the induction. My wife now, that's our showroom. We're now in Rancho Mirage across from the original location. I don't know if you guys remembered Alberto's restaurant, the Italian restaurant in Rancho Mirage. Yeah, that's the building we took over. So we hollowed it out and enlarged it just a little bit. The good thing about that lot is it's got a 5,000-foot parking lot that we can take everything out and empty it out. But probably the most stressful time of my life was when I was doing service calls, and I did one for Spiro Agnew. And I realized how tall that guy was or how short I was. But I'm bending over and he's like right over me looking at you know when people look over your back, you can't even write your name sometimes. You get so nervous. But I had taken this motor apart. I was an entry-level mechanic at the time. I was no crackerjack hotshot mechanic. I was just learning. But I was the only one available to go out there and we were busy. So I forgot how the wires went on the motor. I was panicking. Because you put wires on there wrong, you can have instant flames or sparks or burn down. And I don't want any one of those. So, Mr. Agnew, can I go use your phone real quick? Because nobody has cell phones. So I go into his office, and his office is about this big. All Watergate books from Watergate. And I go, wow, this is neat. I call my guy on the phone. I knew you'd be late. Steve McGotta, quarterback, Video High School. You almost missed all of this. So anyways, I got a hold of my service manager and I said, man, I forgot how these wires go and I need to know what the field coils and the stators and left and right and all that stuff. And he gave me the code real quick. And Spiro Agnew comes back in and he goes, is everything okay? And I go, yeah, I just had a call for my next appointment. I was going to be a little bit late. So I hang the phone up, put the wires on, no sparks, no flames, got them up and going. And then from there, I had to go to Bob Hope's mansion up there and fix his champagne cart. He had a big flatbed that would hold 3,000 pounds, and he would stack just tons of champagne, and they'd have a party with 1,000 people there. But we never got to go to that party. But real bad a little bit. Since Steve was late. Steve, you know who that is, Mr. Flores? Yeah. Well, Steve being a quarterback has a lot of respect for a guy like this. Steve's in our bowling league now, so I just can't say enough about Mr. Tom Flores. But we've sold carts to, I don't know, Prince of Brunei, big time guys, and a lot of celebrities. Probably the best celebrity that I sold a cart to was the neatest guy, was Telly Savalas, the guy with the sucker. And he came in with a sucker in his mouth. I couldn't believe it. Hey, so what's going on with this cart? How much is this cart, babe? What's going on, babe? Everything was paid. So we sold him a cart, and he did the Chrysler commercials with the 300. And he brought in a 300 grill and goes, I want this grill on my golf cart. I go, it's not the shape, the size, it's for a car. He goes, I want it on there anyways. This is probably the ugliest car you ever saw with his grill just wired on there. But he loved it. But Telly Savalas was good. Then we had Suzanne Summers and Ellen Hamill, Tell a Friend, the Alpha Beta people. And they're in North Palm Springs up against the mountains. Those really nice Las Palmas homes. And everything was going good until she wanted me to paint it pink in dark green seats. And I was supposed to put this picture on my wall. So I made the cart, and about 3 weeks later, the cart didn't run. And she says, well, you sold us a defective cart? And I go, no, I'm sure there's something simple. So I went myself, and the rats had gotten into the garage and eaten the wires. And you talk about somebody who didn't know how to handle that. I said, Susanna, you got rats? She goes, we don't have rats yet. I go, well, you know, I don't think the rats know who you are. You should go introduce yourself to these little rats. So I go, they're not dirty trash rats. I said, these are citrus rats, and there's your grapefruit tree is leaning on your roof, and they're going in your roof, and they're coming into your house. So she got the rats, and everything was cool, and the car never broke down after that. But they were probably one of my toughest celebrity customers. Some of the celebrities, they've had everything given to them all their lives. They don't want to pay for nothing. And when you actually want to charge them, they're like, what, you got to charge me? And,
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you know where any of these cars are nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which ones are we talking about?
Oh, for example, Evil Knievel's?
Oh, Evil Knievel's. You know, I think that got put in a museum with all of his historical stuff.
Okay.
But that little three-wheeler that we started out with, this is actually at our showroom. We have, it's probably one of the oldest golf carts in captivity. And that is, and I'll tell you a story about it. This one right here. These carts were built in about 1945, 46. And the main reason why they built them is these were totally hand controlled. You didn't need your legs to drive these cars. When our guys came back from World War II in 1945 and 46, they had no legs. We had to create a life for them. So you made a golf cart. It was the start of a golf cart. Golf carts weren't even legal back then. You had to have a doctor's note to take a golf cart on the golf course. The whole reason for a golf cart was if you had bad legs or something, you couldn't walk 18 holes. So the USGA says walking 18 holes was part of the deal. If you can't walk, then you can't play in these big tournaments. So, you know, nobody's playing in those big tournaments, they're playing for fun, so the golf cart became more popular, which leads to the first golf cart that my dad sold was for Mr. Firestone. And Mr. Firestone has a little connection here, right, Rob?
He sure does.
Sure does. So I think he was one of the first, one of the first early board members, one of the big supporters of the museum, historical. So anyways, Firestone had a bad hip, and he really had a deep limp. And my dad was caddying there, and he said, Bobby, you know where to get an electro caddy? They didn't call them golf carts back then, they were electro caddies. So they were building them in Redlands right off the freeway. He got lucky. And he goes, can you get me one? He goes, yeah, how much? Oh, around $500. So he gives him $500, and my dad borrows a truck from my uncle that had a street sweeping business in India. Goes and gets the cart, and all these guys are looking at the cart. Ray Bolger, Desi Arnaz, and Phil Harris. And they go, Firestone, where'd you get the cart? Because Bobby Thomas got it for me. So that's how we started in the golf cart business, was by that first golf cart that we sold to Mr. Firestone. And that's how it started. And then another celebrity, and then Lucille Ball got one, and Harry Orange, and a lot of these other guys got them. My dad gave us notice when there was only 4 golf courses in the valley. So my mom was a waitress at El Dorado, and El Dorado was brand new. So she was making more money than he was, slinging hash. And one of the most wealthy guys proposed to her, and she turned him down.
Wow.
So about 7 or 8 years when she wasn't doing too good and she was feeling bad, I should have never said no. I said, I know, Mom, you screwed that one up. And then remember El Dorado.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Did you manufacture those, or did you buy?
No, we would just buy them. We didn't go into manufacturing. That's a great question. We went into manufacturing in the early 70s, and we would use the old Cushman chassis, which was this one here that Evil Knievel was in. That was the old Cushman. That came all the way from Lincoln, Nebraska. It was the same factory that built the outboard motors and everything. It was OMC, Lincoln, Nebraska. So we took that chassis. We would cut a hole here, and we made a stainless steel ice chest. So we made the first cart with a built-in ice chest, and that was a big deal. You know, then the cell phones came later, but you had a cart with an ice chest, you were somebody. And we built them at a Canyon Country Club. when there was no Indians involved, and it was illegal to do what we were doing. We were building them right out of their paint shop, body shop, and then we were selling them a few at a time. But then it morphed into the Easy Go product that was made in Augusta, Georgia. We started buying just the chassis, then we built our own bodies. Then I got involved, and I was going to India, China, and outsourcing, because our closest outsource was Mexico, and the quality just wasn't good enough. So we struck up a deal with the guys making the Hobie Cat sailboat. So they closed the Hobie Cat factory, and we took that over, and we started building all the nicer bodies that are on the newer cars, like, you know, stuff like that. The real good electric pop-up trunks, big ice chests, 4-passenger conversions. So we had containers coming once a month. We'd have 50 bodies in a container, and we were on our way to really making enough profit to be a profitable business. You couldn't, if you did it here locally, you couldn't make any money, and that's why guys outsource to China. You know, quite frankly, we don't have the skills and the labor out here to. That's why all the lithium batteries come from China. And all the chrome wheels come from China too. Everything comes from the United States. Got any other questions?
So do you manufacture them now, or do you assemble now?
Mostly assembled.
Assemble, yeah.
Yeah, but the manufacturing is, we got a little place out in Thermal where we take fleet cars down to the frame rails and then rebuild them as brand new cars and then modify them how everybody wants them. Lithium batteries are big now. Like this color here, you have to have that color if you want to be at Arnold Palmer's golf course. It's called Viper Green. So Arnold Palmer says, I don't want any yellow, bright orange, everything's going to be green. If you're a member here, you hear my rules or you don't join. He made it real clear. So everybody complained a little bit, but that cart, I think after we were in the parade or something, we sent it to the Tradition. So almost 90% of everything we sell in that color goes to the Tradition golf course that Palmer started.
So do you have records going on with that, to who you sold golf carts to, like 30 in 1950s and so forth?
Yeah, I did. I got boxes and boxes of records, and just 2 days ago, Rob, I was going to text a picture. We found a real nice letter from Dinah Shore, and Dinah Shore was buying carts when she just started the tournament at Mission Hills. And she said some real nice things and thank you, and then she put her big D. And every cart she bought, we put the big D for Dinah and then the little A and H, and then it had to be pink. So when somebody would come in and they'd see Dinah Shore's cart, they go, oh my God, that's Dinah Shore's cart. They go, yeah, well that was her cart from last year. We make her one every year. Is that for sale? Yeah. And you get a premium because it was Dinah Shore's cart. So we did a lot of Dinah Shore's. We did Bob Hope's, and we did Eisenhower was our biggest repeat offender. We built one of those like every 6 months. This was Eisenhower's cart. Look at it, it says DDH right here. We had an artist come in and write DDH on him. But he did drive in several of them, and we did have his original one that he did drive in. But Eisenhower loved golf. I should say President Eisenhower loved golf. And then you have the, I don't know if Rob ever talked about it, but when General Patton came through here, he built that cement patio out here, and I saw some of those pictures with all the tanks loaded up, and I think they were here really close by in this area. But that was quite a place. And me and Rob used to go play up there, and we would jump, and we'd go down this cliff and slide all the way down the bottom. That's where the Vintage is now, the Vintage Club. Wasn't there before, but that patio, they built around, it's still there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's still there. I was there, Don Callender, the son of Marie Callers, I became good friends with him. He was a neat guy, and he'd invite us up, and his house was right around the corner. I mean, you know, I think there's a patio. He goes, it's still there, JR, it's still there. I go, I'm gonna go look. He goes, go ahead. So I went up there and looked at it, but he was character. Now Callender was a real pioneer too. He would take his cart, I saw him about 8 or 10 carts, and he would take them to San Diego. He would drive down the wrong side of the road because he didn't want people sneaking up behind him. And he got a ticket every day. And they took the ticket, he would crumple it up, and he'd throw it in the dash, and he would tell the cop, "You still here?" "I won't pay the fine, don't worry." He was the son of a gun. So he bought 2 6-passengers when he built Babes in Rancho Mirage. And this is a funny story. So the tops of the 6-passengers are pretty elongated, and they're about 8 or 10 feet long. So he comes in, he brought in 2 big pigs, 1 big pig and 1 smaller pig. He goes, I want the big pig in the back, I want the little pig in the front. And he put them on Rocker, and he had as soon as they rock, they go, wee, wee, they squeal. and he goes, I want the big one right up on that little one. So it looked like he was humping it. I go, now, are you sure you want me to do that? He goes, "Yeah, if you don't do it, I'm not buying carts." So I bought it. So I had a really good fabricator, man. He had this thing. It was spring loaded, and he would start rocking, and that one would squeal. He got a ticket from the city, and they made him take it down. And so he says, "Come on, pick this card up." And he goes, "Take it to my other restaurant. They don't know it's there yet." So he had that one in Redlands. That lasted about 2 months before they made him take it out there. So, but what a character. And,
Who's this?
yeah, Don Gallagher. Any other?
I can ask you, the cart that's on display or was on display here at your museum, with the one with the,
Oh.
what's the value of that? Is there
You
value
know,
on those things?
there is antiquity value. It's just, you know, it's not like they're 400 years old or anything, so they're not artifacts. But I'd say probably close to 10,000 would be a good number for something like that. I've got one. The one I have, the 47. I probably wouldn't sell that for 20,000.
Wow.
I don't. You know, it depends on if I was hurting or not. But you just can't replace it. There's so many memories there. And I gave it to one of my best friends, and he took it to, Friday Harbor, Washington. And he had a car collection, choke a horse. The guy's a big boy collector. And he took that car, and he put it, well, these roofs were real small, but he had like big high roofs, and he had it up in the corner by piano wire. You couldn't see the wire. He took the batteries out of it. He had it on display with the big pictures and all its history and everything. And then he slipped going down the stairs, and he died 6 months later. So I got a call from the Will family. They said, "He left you the golf cart."
Wow.
I go, "No kidding, but you got to come pick it up." So I went out. I sent a driver out. It cost me $1,800 to retrieve it, but it was worth it. So yeah, we've turned down offers on it. But we have the original Turf Rider that my dad sold to Thunderbird, and when Firestone, yeah, Turf Rider was the name. That was when Mr. Firestone got the first golf cart there. And when he started, that's when he started everything, having that bad hip. So you had to have guys that had doctor's notes, and you had to have a doctor's note before they could take it on the golf course.
Wow.
So now you have handicap flags, so you could drive the golf cart real close to the green. And now they're making golf carts with slicks, and they're ultralight, and you can drive them on the green and putt from the green too.
Wow.
So you can actually use them to play golf without getting out of the cart with your handicap note. So the handicap note hung in there all the way through, of course, of golf's career out here.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
There used to be a guy that lived at Thunderbird named Tyson, and somebody built him 4 golf carts for him to drive, as you said, up on the green. Do you remember the name Tyson?
Is he the chicken guy?
Don Tyson, no. He had one in Oregon and he had 2 in Oregon and 1 at Thunderbird, or at Vintage. And they were really,
But
he couldn't get out of the cart, so he played from the back of the cart. I thought maybe you might have built those.
yeah, you know, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think we did.
It's been about maybe 30 years ago you would have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been when we were kids, but yeah, I remember the Tyson name from Thunderbird.
Yeah.
But now the new Tyson is the guy that owns Zaki Farms, it's Richard Zaki. Now he's at Thunderbird, and he's having us build all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's a neat guy, but he's a member of Tamara's too. Guess when you own Zaki Farms, you can be a member of a lot of different golf courses now. Yeah, so it's been a good ride, and all the celebrities that we've been dealing with over the years were fun. They're just people, though. I've learned not to put them too high up on that pedestal of life. They're just like we are, but one pant leg on at a time. But they're neat people for the most part. The ones that were self-made are nice people. But now we've got, I brought my wife in after she did 39 years at the phone company. She was retired, and I pulled her out of retirement. Now she's helped me with the books and helps run the business. She wants to retire. So I got 7 more years, and I'm done. 7 more
What
years.
was your father's name? It wasn't
Bobby
Thomas.
Thomas. Bobby Thomas.
But, I mean, when you came from Lebanon, it wasn't Thomas.
No, in fact, good question. So as they're coming into the United States, you're Thomas, you're Williams, you're this.
Oh,
They
yes,
named
ma'am.
it. His name was Yatufik Yada. Yeah, we call him Tufi. So my name would have been Bobby Yada. Bobby Yada Yada Yada. What a great baseball name. Bobby Yada. So that would have been my last name.
Anyway, they gave him the name Thomas.
They gave him the name. And there was a lot of Thomases out here that were Lebanese.
Huh.
I met several of them and did business with them. And I even had grape leaves with some of them. Yeah, no, they'd invite you over. When they found out you had a little Lebanese in you, oh, you gotta love the grape leaves. And all this other stuff that I really didn't like. I pretended to like. Yes.
And what is the future of golf cars, like technology-wise? I know lithium batteries and all that kind of stuff, but is anything evolving or changing, or is there really room to do that?
You know, there is, technologically wise, there's no more direct current motors, no more DC motors that kind of run their course. Now everything's AC drive, which means there's an armature and there's an electric field that supports everything, and they're called induction motors. So there's no more wearing carbon brushes, and lead acid batteries will be on their way out. They're too heavy, and they only last 3 years, and now they're very expensive. They're $1,500 a set, and lithium's $3,000, but it lasts 3 times as long. You don't have to have somebody come in, water your batteries, and charge it. And the golf carts are a mess if you don't live down here full time. So if you're 6 months and you leave, you're coming back to either dead batteries, no water, so you're spending $1,500 every other year because you didn't take care of your batteries. So that's the good thing about lithium. You can just turn them off, just like you turn that computer off. You hit the button, you turn it off, you come back into town, you turn it on, you plug it in, you're golfing 4 hours later. So the technology, I don't know how much more advanced it's going to go after that. Maybe some lighter metals to use, but we're already using aluminum, aircraft grade aluminum. The weight has dropped. They used to be 1,300 pounds, they're about 700 pounds now. So the weight has really come down. And it's to help the soil compaction on the golf course. That real heavy equipment makes that ground real hard, and you hit the ball and it bounces way up, and it's no good.
How about a solar card? Is there a solar card?
Solar has been tried,
Yeah.
and the panel doesn't have enough square footage to put enough amperage to actually move the charge. There's enough to make, hit your green button to put on the golf cart so you feel good about yourself. That's about it. It's not doing anything. I've had guys come in and look me square in the eye and say, this is going to work, it's really good. And I'm just going, yeah, I know better. I've done it. I put one on my car. It didn't do nothing. And if you test the battery with a hydrometer, which measures specific gravity, and if you left your solar panel on there for 2 days, the specific gravity didn't change 1 iota. So that to me told me it didn't do anything. Because if it didn't charge the acid in the batteries, it's not charging the battery. So it did this much. As soon as you stepped on the gas for 3 seconds, you burned off everything that solar panel put on there for the last 8 hours. So it's just, it was just to say, I'm going green and we're helping out. Yes.
What are the rules on people driving the golf carts on a public street? Like we remember that used to be, you had to have the lights, you had to have a license plate and seatbelts.
Well, everything stayed the same. You can now go down bike lanes, but you do have to have headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, windshield, horn, rearview mirror. You have to have all that. The car has to go at least 20 miles an hour, but it can't go over 25. Then it becomes an automobile, and it falls into the automobile classification. It's an LSV, which is low-speed vehicle, or it's an NEV, neighborhood electric vehicle, that our states have made rules and regulations for. So Palm Desert started it back in, when John Walsmith was there, probably in the early 80s maybe. We were part of it. We supplied the car, we drove around, we took videos of it going around the city back then, and that was the first one. And the original brochure, I think I still have some of those when Palm Desert adopted it. Then La Quina went after it, Rancho Mirage, Cathedral City didn't yet, and Palm Springs is real tough. They'll give you a ticket if you're driving a golf cart on the street, no matter what you have on it. They will not allow it. But yeah, that's a good question. But Palm Desert has really gone forward with it. You see them all over the place now, like Catalina Island, except for, Catalinas are gas. But we have parking issues, just like, our other best friend, Ray Rodriguez. You go behind Casuelos Cafe, they just got this big old parking lot. It's full all the time. But if you just had more golf carts there, you could have twice as many people parking, because they have a small little footprint, 8 by 6 by 8, where a car is twice that. But I think when you mix with high-speed traffic, you have to be real careful, and that's why you can cross 111, but you can't go down the highway. You can only go down streets that are posted 35 miles an hour or less, unless you're in a bike lane. Then you can be, I think the bike lanes are dangerous. I really do. Because those bikes can go 45 miles an hour. Those guys can really whistle on those things. Golf carts going 22, 23 miles an hour, 55 mile an hour cars going by. All it takes is the guy just to drift out and get you around. I lived in Indian Wells. I took my cart home once, and I usually go the back way. I went down 111. One time I did. Man, they were like playing chicken with see how close they could get. Try to scare me out there. But yeah, I want to do it again. I'll take the sidewalk. I'll be illegal. But
how dangerous are the lithium batteries in terms of fire?
That's another great question. Lithium batteries have come a long ways, and there's 3 different types of lithium. But the volatile one was lithium, ion, cobalt. Those are the ones that would blow up the cell phones, and the Lee Iacocca's e-bike was that. We had 2 fires when we sold those e-bikes. But we use lithium ion phosphate, and they're encased in an aluminum box, so there's no oxygen to feed the fire. So before I became a lithium dealer, I saw all his testing, and I made sure they had insurance in the United States, because all these companies are Chinese. And you might be left high and dry. You burn down my first sample was, this guy's $6 million house at Big Mart. And he goes, I hope you got good insurance, boy. Oh man, I took a big gulp, and I called my agent after he left, and I go, we got good insurance, right? He goes, hey, you got $4 million. And I go, well, $4 million is not enough. Because the house is 6. She goes, well, their insurance company participates too. So they both come to play. And so you're 4. I said, just don't make sure you don't do like a $10 million house. But so the reason why I was scared, because here's another guy, the Craco radio family. This was the son of the owner of Maury Craco. And actually his last name was Kravitz, and it was Craig and then Co for company. But he just had to remind me that when he leaves in the summertime, his garage is 135 degrees. He goes, I hope you have good insurance. It's 135 degrees here. So what I know about lithium does not, they don't like the cold. The heat doesn't bother lithium at all. So out here in the desert, we have 0 problems with lithium, as long as it's the good one. It's the LiPo, the LiPo, that's the P is for phosphate. And that's the only ones I'll sell. And we sold, I don't know how many we sold, 1,000 sets. But I've not had one episode, 0. I've had a competitor that's burned down 3 houses. And I guess, I don't know how he's still in business, so I guess he had good insurance too.
So several years back, there was a tax code deal where for $10,000 credit, and suddenly you saw all these golf carts all over the place. Did you sell a lot?
Oh man, that was a that was a great time for us. It was 2010. There was a big letter that came out in the Wall Street Journal. It was called Cash for Clubbers, Clunkers. So they were giving you cash to take an old car off the road. Now this was cash for clubbers, which was golfers. So the rebate was predicated off of amp hours. So if you had 4,000 amp hours in there, you would get $4,000. So what they were doing, they were slamming in more batteries than the cart was intended to have, so they could raise up their deduction. And the highest deduction was $6,500.
Okay.
And they had 8 batteries in there that was only designed for 6. And you look under the bottom of it, you can see it looked like a sway bed horse. The weight was so much it was just bowing the battery tray. And we wouldn't do that.
With the newer lithium batteries, I assume that people are able to use like the home charger just like they would.
Yeah, 110 is fine. Now, I'm buying a new Lightning truck. I had the demo yesterday and today, and I was a little bit disappointed. We run all over the place, and it only made it to 2 o'clock before I was down to 45 miles. So I put it on the 110 charger, and this morning it was up to 75%. That's a long time. So I called the guy and said, we don't have a deal. He goes, but you need the bigger charger. I said, I need a bigger capacity. I said, if I'm going to buy an electric truck, it's going to last us at least all day. And then he came back and said, well, you got last year's model, the New Year's model, and you're going to be great. And I'm going to sell it to you at cost. How do you stay in business when they sell it at cost? But no, you're right about all that. But the tax credit was our biggest year. It was $19 million that year.
Amazing.
The next year, we did $12 million.
Amazing.
Yeah, almost put us out of business.
And
Because
people-
anybody that was going to buy a car bought one for the tax credit, and then the next year, there was no sales to be found. That was trying time.
I heard that people of Vintage, and most of the people who live there got one. Yeah, that was the rumor around town. The guys who really didn't need a tax deduction, they're the ones that got the big
Well,
part.
they were in the know. You know,
Right.
their CPAs were sharp guys, and hey, you want a golf cart? You probably get it for free.
Right.
What do you mean? Well, here's this tax code. Go to town. But you should have saw all the companies coming into business to become a street legal vendor to make the golf carts. So you could become a manufacturer, and Western did. Western was a manufacturer, and I think we only got 4,000 was our maximum tax credit on ours, but we sold a ton of cars during that street legal credit. Yeah, that was a good question. I'd forgotten all about that. There's a lot going on in the industry.
Can you convert an older electric cart to lithium? Is that a big problem or expensive?
Some of the older carts aren't efficient enough, and they have too big of an amp draw, and it depends on if that older cart was worth $1,000 or it's $3,800 to put lithium in there. So it's an investment. I would probably try to talk you out of that and get a newer cart, but there is smaller lithium. If you're not going real far, my cheapest lithium is about $2,800. That's installed with tax, labor, pickup, delivery, everything. But it's only a 50 amp hour battery, which gives you 18 holes and get back home. So, but it's adequate. I sell a lot of them. So the little ones outselling the bigger ones because of the cost.
You sold gas cars, or they?
No, when Bill Clinton came into office, he did the Clean Air Act in California, and it was a good thing. So no gas cars at all. We can't. I'm not even supposed to sell. If I sell one, I'm breaking the law. In fact, I had somebody try to set me up when that legislation went through. A guy called and says, "Can I buy a gas cart from you?" That was really weird the way he was putting his sentences together. And I go, well, first of all, why do you want a gas cart? Well, I just want a gas cart. I just want to know if I can buy one from you. And I go, no, you can't. And he goes, well, I got a lot of cash and I got money. I want to buy a gas cart. I go, you got to go to a different dealer because I don't sell them here. And he goes, why? I go, they're illegal. I told you. He goes, but you can get me one. He just kept trying. I finally said, look, if you don't want to buy an electric cart, call somebody else. Because I want to congratulate you. And I go, why? He goes, no, I'm from the state, and I'm doing testing right now. I go, man,
That's
you're nasty.
It's illegal, huh?
It's almost, there's a word for that. Got Gosh, so anyways, I tell you what, I didn't have a gas card, I probably would have sold that. I didn't have it, so it took me out of the equation. But no, that was a good question. But the older cards, we do put some lithium, some older cards. And, but yeah, like old Cushman or Taylor Dunn, or they're heavy and they draw a lot of amperes, but you can do it. You just gotta drive it easy.
Was that original cart you had for Firestone, was that gas or battery?
Oh no, those are electric.
Those are electric.
Yeah, they were all electric, and they were only 36 volts,
Uh-huh.
which now everything is 51 volts, 48 to 51. But 36 was, that's not what they started at 24 volts. They were single drivers. It's called a Pony. And what a cute little cart. When I was a little kid, I thought, man, that thing's really neat. I want one that drives to school. They went 6 miles an hour, and you could drive up right next to the greens. But now those are worth probably close to 10 grand a piece now. You can find them. I've got one little single one. It's called a Pargo. It's probably a 63 or 64 three-wheeler. And I'm going to restore it, but I'm not going to sell it. It's just going to be for our own use. Good question.
One last question. What's a looper? Like, what's the
Oh,
origin
looper.
of the word looper?
Because when you do 18 holes, it's called a loop.
Oh.
I think Steve could tell you about that. Loopers are, back in the day, every course had caddies. They didn't have golf carts. You walked the course. That was part of the deal. That's when Casey Martin tried to get the PGA to change its rules because he had a bad wheel. His leg was like bow out this way, and he couldn't walk 18, but he was a real good golfer. He goes, well, Casey, if we change the rule for you, we got to change it for everybody. And then it's no longer a physical sport anymore. So they almost passed it, and they went back and said, no. If you want to do that, I think the senior tour lets them use golf carts in certain areas. And if there's a real long straightaway, they'll shuttle them now instead of making them walk like a half a mile. Because I know when we played Royal Melbourne, there's a deal where you go from one side, you have to go way over or cut over, and I could have used a shovel myself. But yeah, so the looper was a term. If you were a looper, you were a caddy. You made one loop. They would do 2 loops every day. They do one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and you could make good money. Caddies right now, believe it or not, I mean, I got to play in a tournament at the Hideaway, and everybody started ponying up to the caddy, and I think he got $400 for 4 hours. So they're making almost $100 an hour. All right? Don't feel sorry for the caddies. This today, they make good money, and these are young kids that are maybe out of school for a little while. They're doing part-time looping, but they make good money. But a good caddy can really change your game.
Couple of questions, I remember one of them now. The senior tournament that's coming up, are you supplying the carts for that?
Yes, we are. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. We've already delivered most of them, and we're going to have a hole-in-one cart. We're going to give the tournament director a $20,000 cart to parade around. I got my decals on over it. And then we'll have an expo booth there with 2 carts on display for sale. We'll have a salesman there the whole week. And then we get 2 big shrimp passes for the 18.
And one other comment I remembered.
Yeah.
Are there other family members in the business that when you do retire that will be helping you continue?
Unfortunately, my son didn't take to the golf cart business. My daughter married well, so she doesn't have to work. She has 2 really good boys to take care of. So now I've got the guys that work under me are kind of like my kids. It's like I've known them for 30, 40 years, and I'm going to probably sell to them and let them continue with it. I've got a couple really good guys that I can trust that I can let them do a slow buyout. It's something you have to think about when you start to get retirement age. You know, I should have retired a long time ago, but I can only bowl 1 day a week, and I don't like golf that much. 2 days a week is way more for me. So what else would I do? I'd be in the casino a little too much. Can't do that either. Once a week. Any other questions? Well, I just want to say, I appreciate having the opportunity to speak to you nice folks. Nice to see the Cox family. We caught up with you guys. And Steve and his beautiful wife, Karen. Steve was coming off of a calf injury. He strained it in the middle of the night. Anyways, we have a bowling league, and probably one of the best, most fun things I've done in a long time. What else are you going to do Tuesday at 6 o'clock? Let's go home. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.